It's August 27th, 2016, and I'm here today on Driftless Farms. My name is Matt Millar. Kind of a cloudy, cool day in late summer, and I'm starting with a white gold sweet cherry, which is a survivor. This cherry came last year in the fall. It died, the whole tree that came died. But this grew off above the graft here, and so we let it grow, and it came up. Then birds, or some sort of pest nailed all the leaves up to here, and then it had another flush of growth here in late July through August. So this is a survivor, and I expect this will be the terminal bud, and it will grow out next year, and I expect it will do well. Now, zone 3 for us is fruit trees. That's our main crop, and we've had pretty good success, I'd say, or very good success. Some trees are doing better than others. This is a Shapova, which is a mix between a pear and a mountain ash. This is a Toka plum, and I might do some pruning while I do the video here. Because this, for example, here, this is our Toka plum, and then this would be probably coming up off the rootstock, and I don't want any competition with the main tree, so I would just prune that away. You can see that compared to last year, it's really starting to look like something orchardish, rather than just grass with some sticks popping out of it. Peaches here and here that almost died but made it, and now look great. And next year, peaches, once they go, they explode with growth. This is a Pluot. Again, we've got a little competer coming out here, so I'm going to snip that off. What is this? Flavor Supreme Pluot, yeah. This is a pear. I think it's a Bosque. Interesting that looks kind of like the growth has been truncated at the top, but it's a very healthy looking tree, almost no leaf damage. This time of the year, you'd, if it's else I could show. Here's a peach that didn't make it. That's dead. This is an apple, Bella Gold Peacatum. So, here is an example of a graft, and it's unclear to me whether these buds took or not. So you can see those are buds that I grafted onto this tree, and they all look like they might have taken. If they did, then next spring, I'll come in and chop the tree right there, and instead of a plum, myrobilan, which is a rootstock, we will have this improved variety called Bella Gold Peacatum in here. This is a very unhealthy looking wine crisp apple. It actually produced a fruit, which I probably shouldn't have let it. It produced several, and I let one grow to fruition, and the rest I chopped off. But you can see that it kind of has a meager appearance, really. It should be okay. But I'd probably set it back a year just by letting it fruit. We do have some pest problems here, and or some sort of disease on the apples, which I'm trying to figure out what it is. It could be, it's not fire blight, it could be one of the rusts, is what I'm thinking. Okay, so this is a graft that failed, okay, right there. That was a T-bud, and then that looks like one that took right there. That's good. So that's a Rainier cherry, and that should grow away next year nicely. That looks alive to me. This is making me happy. I had no idea what the success rate would be on these grafts. Now, the thing with bud grafting is knowing which part of the tree is the cambium. You need to know that. There's a graft that failed, obviously. I just touched it and it came off, so that's too bad. I think it was 70 or 75 grafts that we did, and it's a little early to say, but it looks like the majority of them were successful. Again, I don't know if that is a bud that's alive. It certainly is stuck to the tree, so I would guess that's alive. This is a sweet Treat Pluery plum. On the plums, I grafted pluots, apricots, and both Japanese and European plums. For the cherries, I just grafted other cherries onto it. I did the Tokas when I was still, I think, a bit confused about which part of the bark to graft to, so I don't know how likely it is that I'll have success on those. Here's a Rainier. That bud looks alive to me. So basically, anytime I was grafting 2 buds onto one cut, it worked because I was putting it just by accident in the right place. Whereas when I was grafting 1 bud to a, so those look alive. When I was grafting 1 bud and sticking it in the middle, it wasn't making contact with the cambium. So just to reiterate what's said on other YouTube channels about this, if you're doing a bud graft, you have to make sure that the edge of your bud that you chip off of the cyanwood lines up with the edge of the cut you make on the tree. That'll be a very interesting one to watch. This is a Montmorency cherry, which is a lovely sour cherry. We already buy a ton of these from Costco, so it would be great to get. I think we spend about $8 a month currently, so $100 a year, just our personal use, maybe a little more than that. So that would, when we first start getting these, of course you always have to count the labor, so it's not truly $100 savings, but it's a lot less labor, I think, to pick $100 of cherries. Wow, those buds definitely survived. Okay, good. That bud's actually coming out of its it's like sprouting. It's amazing. Well, that's good news. We'll have another Montmorency cherry for sure. Probably could just cut that tree now. It's so obvious that that's alive. That's also obviously alive. Oh, this is making me happy. Very happy. We have abundance of success here, it looks like. I'm betting that these are alive as well. Just have a feeling. You'll note that I started grafting those Bings and Rainiers I did before. I watched the right YouTube channels. I started grafting onto these smaller diameter branches instead of on trying to do it onto the main trunk, and I think that makes it more likely or easier basically to get to line up. That looks alive. So we've got 2 surviving buds on this Montmorency. Good news. Good news for mankind. Had some really bad times with the apples, and I would so that's called the cyanwood off of the tree we wanted. This I think would be a Gravenstein, yeah. And here's the rootstock. This is the M9, Bud 9 actually, Budakovsky 9 rootstock. And my advice based on these failures is do not graft if there's going to be a day in the forecast where the average temperature is below freezing. Not the high, not the low, but the average. We had some very cold days in early April. Many days, like 4 or 5, with lows in the low 20s, and at least one day where the average temperature was below freezing. And every apple graft I did before that date failed, and most of the ones after that date succeeded. So I'm guessing that's what the difference was. Evans Bali. There's a failure. Yeah, I did that before I watched enough YouTube videos. Even though this was my second year of tea bud grafting, I think I kind of forgot that the edges had to be lined up. So the Evans Bali, I think maybe only this one lived, and it may not even be lived on this one.